You're an e-com owner or a marketing manager, and you know that email is probably leaving money on the table, but you don't exactly know how to find that leak. Today, I'm going to go over a full email checklist that I personally created based on the questions and auditing techniques that we use at our own agency in order to audit clients' email accounts. So, of course, it's kind of simplified and broken down, but I can guarantee you if you have leaks in your email marketing, and you ask yourself these questions, you're most likely going to find those leaks. Now, before we actually jump right in, I just want to let you know that you can also access this document in my free resources. So if you just scroll down, look in the description, you will find a link to my free resources. And right there, you can just access this document for free. All right, first thing on the list is the website pop-up, of course. So first of all, you want to ask yourself, do you actually have a pop-up collecting emails? And this may sound really funny, but I see a lot of six-figure brands that still don't even have a pop-up on their website collecting emails. And I'm really curious, how do you collect email addresses? Like, how do you grow a list? So you really want to make sure that you, first of all, have a pop-up in place, that it, second of all, looks pretty decent, and that your subscribe rates are above 8%. So of course, this really varies depending on the niche you're in, but generally speaking, you want to have at least 8 to 10% subscribe rates. This is possible for every brand across the board. So last of all, of course, you want to regularly A/B test your pop-up. Of course, I'm a really big advocate and a really big fan of A/B testing, but you also want to make sure that you're not only A/B testing your flows and campaigns, but also the pop-up, which is really, really valuable. Next on the list, we have the flows. And here you basically want to ask yourself, are the following flows live? The welcome flow, abandoned cart flow, abandoned checkout flow, browse abandonment, post-purchase thank you, site abandonment, sunset unengaged, and winback, and VIP. Probably, maybe there are one or two flows that you may not know about. I'm going to make a lot of videos about this in the future, so stay tuned. But it's really simple if you understand each individual purpose of these flows. And they're really high leverage, so you want to make sure you have all of them in place. And second, you want to make sure that you regularly A/B test your flows. Again, A/B testing is the key to everything. Nobody knows what technique or what structure works for different brands. So of course, there's a general rule of thumb for everything, but you want to start off with that, and then you really want to make sure that you're A/B testing for your brand, you're A/B testing specific products, specific sequences and time delays. Next, we have the campaigns, and this is actually really straightforward because you just want to check the metrics and what's in place already. So just make sure that you have at least 35 to 40% open rates and also at least 2% click rates. Again, these are really generalized metrics and really generalized benchmarks, but just make sure you're around this benchmark at least. So next, you want to check if you have at least 3 campaigns per week. If you're sending 1 campaign per week, maybe even 1 campaign every 2 weeks because you feel like you don't want to spam your list, please don't do that. Please send out at least 3 campaigns per week. Of course, you want to make sure that you have a preference page in place for people to either unsubscribe or update their preferences. But generally speaking, most people are fine with receiving 3 emails per week, and a lot of people will actually engage with them, and your conversion rates will skyrocket. Next, we have a structured campaign calendar, and I know some people may feel guilty right now because I know that it's really hard to stay on track with that, especially when you're a busy ecom owner or marketing manager or whatever, because most of you might actually be planning out the campaign on Monday, designing it on Tuesday, and then sending it out on Wednesday. And this is really, really annoying. And sometimes you even have delay with sending the campaign out. So really make sure that you have a campaign calendar planned out 4 weeks ahead of time, because when there are things happening, when it's getting really, really busy, you can always make sure to regain those 4 weeks when you're losing a week or two, because at the end of the day, your campaigns will still keep sending. Last of all, of course, you guessed it, you want to have regular A/B tests, because at the end of the day, no matter how good you're at email marketing, even at our agency, we don't know what subject lines perform best for your brand Of course, there are general practices and general rules of thumb, but different things might work for different brands, so really make sure you're testing everything. Next, we have the list health, which is something that some brands are actually neglecting, and they feel like, right, so the revenue is pretty decent, the attribute revenue is pretty solid, probably, and we don't need to worry about list health at all. But in the long term, it's really going to ruin your email list and ruin your conversions as well. You want to make sure you have a properly warmed and dedicated sending domain so that you're not sending out from a Klaviyo shared domain, which probably most of you have figured out by now, but I just want to make sure that you really make sure it's set up. And next we have an automated list cleaning system, just to make sure that the contacts that are not relevant to your email list anymore, these are unengaged contacts, bot contacts, contacts that never engage at all, and really all of those subscribers that are not serving any purpose, make sure they're cleaned out automatically, or at least in a half automated manner, so you just need to suppress the segments. Let me know if you want a video about that in the future. I can, of course, record that. Then you also want to make sure this is kind of a sub point or a subtopic for the automated list cleaning system. Just make sure you're also protected against bot signups, so that bots and wrong email addresses will just be cleaned off your list, just to keep your Klaviyo build really on the lower end. And also make sure your list is not spammed and kind of ruined by bots at the end of the day. Next, of course, this is a product of all this, but you want to make sure that your emails stay out of spam. There are really a lot of things you can do. There are a lot of best practices and a lot of tutorials as well. So really make sure that you nail this by watching tutorials, by following the best practices, the rules also given by Klaviyo. And of course, I'll also record a video about that in the future, so stay tuned for that. Next, you want to make sure that your list is segmented correctly. And you might feel like this is just for improving campaign performance, for example, but it's also a really great way of protecting your list, of protecting your sender reputation by not blasting out your emails to the whole list. Like if I audit a new account and I see that there's a segment or a list that the brand is sending out regularly to, which is called all email addresses or all subscribers, I'm literally losing it, because you don't want to do that. After this quick rant, I just want to make sure that we also go over the email designs. Just a quick disclaimer before we do that. You first want to nail your email structure, your email copy, the sending behavior, the targeting, the segmentation, all of that. And then you want to make sure that you're optimizing your designs, because it's just nice to have, and people like seeing good designed, well-designed emails. So make sure you're using a professional design tool, whether that's Canva, whether that's Figma, whether that's any other design tool you could think about. We at our agency like to use Figma because it's really easy to handle multiple clients in Figma. But if you're an e-com owner or a marketing manager or designer and you're handling this in-house at the moment, you might actually just want to use Canva if you're not familiar with Figma or any of that, because Canva is really intuitive. So next, you want to make sure that your emails are optimized for mobile, especially the call to actions and bulleted lists and graphics and all of that, because a lot of brands actually neglect this. I don't know why, but most of your subscribers are still on mobile. Generally across the board, most e-com brands have mobile users 70, 80, 90% of the time. So really make sure that people can actually read your stuff and don't need to go like this to even read your headline. Really make sure you have that. Next, of course, you want to have high quality images, no ChatGPT, no generic fluff, no nano banana, anything of that. We personally at our agency, again, we use ChatGPT, we use different AI tools as well, and it's a great way to have workflows and have agentic workflows as well. But make sure that at least the images and your logo and everything like that is not AI slop, but it's really tied to your company. You have professional photo shoots, and you really want to make sure that you have images that don't scream AI, because people are going to be able to spot this, and they don't want to place an order from a brand using ChatGPT or Nano Banana images. Also make sure that your emails are easy to understand. Of course, this is part of copy, this is part of email structure, but don't come up with 5 different topics in one email. Really have it funneled down, really have it one or maybe 2 CTAs at max. So I'm a fan of only keeping one call to action, not linking to different sites, because people are really confused. They don't really know what to do then. So really make sure that people see the email, they see the hero section, and they immediately know what that email will be about. They scroll down section 2, section 3, and it's just explaining what you mentioned in the hero section. So people should not be confused by your design, by your copy, or your structure. The next steps, we quickly want to go over that. So if you notice serious gaps in your email checklist, or even multiple gaps as well, it just means that you're leaving revenue on the table every month and that your email channel isn't that predictable as well. So you may probably know it. Sometimes your email channel is doing really well. Sometimes you're just not getting any orders or anything like that. And you really have those fluctuations in attribute revenue, which just means that your email channel is not optimized, and you really want to make sure that you have a consistent amount of revenue, a consistent amount of orders coming in, so that email is the backbone of your system. So next, you may also be too reliant on paid ads. And just recently, I think it was like April or June 2025, Meta announced a new update, a new change to their algorithm. You probably know it as well. And right now, in the last few weeks, in the last few months, it's really hitting home for a lot of email, for a lot of e-com brands. And it's just not predictable. So make sure that at least your email channel is fixed and that you just don't need to rely on Zach, So really make sure you have a consistent amount of revenue coming in. Again, it was also mentioned in this slide before, you don't need to figure this out alone. So if you're an e-com owner, marketing manager, or working at an e-com brand in general, and you feel like your email marketing is just not optimized and you're leaving serious money on the table, maybe you also went through that checklist by yourself and you feel like there are a lot of areas where we might be able to improve the revenue, you can just book a free 30-minute email audit with me, and I'll exactly tell you what's missing, what we can improve, and where you're actually leaving money on the table. So you can either book that meeting by going in the free resources, going in that free email checklist and scrolling down. Right there, you can see the link, you can click it and book the free email audit, or you can just click in the description down below. There are also linked my Calendly form. Again, it's totally free. It's totally honest. I'll exactly tell you what's missing if there's something missing. So that's it. See you in the next one. Bye.